Does the thought of aging distress you? Are you afraid of the idea of getting sick or inevitably of dying? Do you suffer just imagining losing the people you love or the things you value? If so, you are not alone. These worries are part of the human experience. Our natural reaction is to look away, distract ourselves, deny these uncomfortable realities as if they had nothing to do with us. But what if that resistance, that constant struggle against the inevitable, were precisely the cause of much of our anxiety? What if the key to stopping the suffering over these things wasn't to avoid them, but to face them head on with honesty and wisdom? Buddhist philosophy teaches us that there are certain fundamental truths about life that, although difficult to accept at first, have the power to free us deeply when we contemplate them regularly. They are like a medicine that cures a deep illness, the illness of living in denial, in a kind of intoxication that prevents us from seeing things as they are and keeps us trapped in suffering. That's why, in today's video, we are going to explore these 5 key realities, just as the teachings present them. We won't see them as pessimistic sentences, but as 5 master keys that can open the door to a lighter, more present life with much more meaning. You will discover why reflecting on them can be the most powerful antidote to existential anxiety. So, if you want to learn to release that mental burden, join me in this video. Don't forget to like, and if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next episodes. Let's begin. First reality, aging. The first reality the teachings invite us to contemplate is perhaps the most visible, but also the one we try hardest to ignore. It is an undeniable biological fact. From the moment we are born, every cell in our body is in a constant process of change that eventually we call aging. We see it in the mirror, in our parents, in our grandparents, and in the world around us. However, we often live under what the teachings call the intoxication of youth. We act as if this process doesn't apply to us, as if we were an exception to the universal rule. We cling desperately to youth, whether through physical appearance, chasing ephemeral pleasures, or simply postponing responsibilities and inner cultivation, thinking, "I'll have time for that later." This denial, this fight against the natural flow of time, is, in the long run, a huge source of suffering. After a certain age, it generates anxiety with every birthday, makes us compare ourselves painfully with idealized versions of the past, and prevents us from gracefully accepting each stage of life. But what do we gain by accepting this reality? What liberating benefit is there in facing aging head on? When we stop fighting against the current and accept that aging is an intrinsic part of life, something wonderful happens. The energy we wasted on resistance is freed up. We become more present, more capable of valuing the now, knowing it is unique and unrepeatable. Accepting aging doesn't mean resigning passively. It means focusing our energy not on stopping the inevitable, but on cultivating qualities that do not wither with time: wisdom, patience, compassion, or inner peace. We understand the profound truth of impermanence, what Buddhists call anicca, which reminds us that everything changes, and that includes our body and our abilities. I invite you to do a mini reflection on this. Take a second right now and ask yourself, how would my day, my priorities, change if I frequently remembered that my time is precious and limited by this natural process of aging? Although, of course, it doesn't happen overnight, accepting this first reality takes a huge weight off our shoulders. But aging often comes with another reality we also tend to deny. What is it, and how can we face it with wisdom? Second reality, sickness. Right after contemplating aging, the teachings present us with the second inevitable reality. Our body, however strong it may seem now, is inherently vulnerable. It is a complex biological machine subject to imbalances, infections, and deterioration. Sickness is an ever-present possibility. However, we also often live under the intoxication of health. When we feel good, we tend to act as if we were invulnerable, as if sickness is something that only happens to others. This mirage can lead us to neglect our body or mind, to postpone healthy habits, thinking, "I'll do it later," or even to look upon those who are sick with a certain arrogance or lack of compassion. Buddhist philosophy reminds us that sickness is a fundamental form of suffering inherent to conditioned existence. It is not a punishment or a system error. It is part of the nature of having a body. But what do we gain by accepting this vulnerability? How does this reflection free us? Recognizing that we are susceptible to sickness takes us off the pedestal of invulnerability. It humanizes us, reminding us of our shared fragility with all the beings. This, in turn, fosters genuine compassion, both toward ourselves when we feel unwell and toward others who are suffering. Furthermore, accepting this reality gives us a powerful motivation to take care of ourselves holistically today. We no longer postpone taking care of our physical and mental health because we understand that health is a precious and temporary asset, not something guaranteed. We become more aware of our habits and how they impact our well-being. Let's reflect for a moment. How would your attitude toward your own body and the health of others change if you frequently remembered that sickness is a real possibility for everyone, including you? Third reality, death. So far, we have contemplated aging and sickness. The third reality confronts us directly with the inevitable end of that process. This is perhaps the hardest truth to face head-on. Our culture often hides it, dresses it up, or treats it as a taboo. We live immersed in what the teachings call the intoxication of life, acting as if we were immortal, as if we had all the time in the world. This denial leads us to live distracted, postponing what is truly important. We accumulate possessions we cannot take with us. We hold on to grudges that poison us. We forget to say, "I love you," thinking there will always be a tomorrow. We live as if death were a remote possibility, not an absolute certainty. Buddhist philosophy, however, constantly reminds us of the impermanence of life. It identifies death as a fundamental manifestation of suffering, not to scare us, but to awaken us. What is the liberating benefit of accepting our own mortality? What do we gain by contemplating death? Paradoxically, looking death in the face teaches us to live. When we accept that our time is limited and unknown, a healthy urgency arises. Priorities are reordered, the trivial loses importance, and the essential comes to the forefront. We realize that the present is the only moment we have to love, to forgive, to learn, to cultivate our inner peace. Contemplating death does not paralyze us. It impels us to live with purpose and authenticity. It frees us from the tyranny of the superfluous. Let's reflect for a moment. What would you change in your life today if you frequently remembered that your time here is finite and precious? What would you stop postponing? Accepting our mortality gives us clarity and purpose. But death doesn't just affect us. It also involves separating from those we love. How does the next reality help us manage this pain? Fourth reality, separation. We have already faced aging, sickness, and death. The fourth reality addresses a direct consequence of these, and perhaps the most common source of our daily pain. Everything I find dear and appealing will change and disappear. This refers to everything: the people we love, our possessions, our health, our youth, happy moments, even our pleasant mental states. Nothing is permanent. Everything that arises eventually ceases. This is the central teaching of impermanence applied to what we value most. However, we live immersed in the intoxication of attachment. We feel desire and passion for the things and people we find dear or attractive, and we cling to them as if they could last forever. We suffer enormously when they inevitably change, leave, or disappear. As the second noble truth teaches, this attachment, tanha, this desire for permanence in an impermanent world, is the very root of our suffering, dukkha. We fight against the changing nature of reality, and that fight exhausts and wounds us. What is the hidden gift in accepting this inevitable separation? How does this seemingly painful reflection free us? When we deeply accept that everything is transient, our relationship with the world changes radically. It doesn't mean stopping loving or valuing. On the contrary, it allows us to love more fully and appreciate every moment with renewed intensity, precisely because we know it won't last forever. It frees us from the constant fear of loss and teaches us to let go with more grace and less suffering when the time for separation comes. We learn to hold things and people with open hands, not with closed fists. Let's reflect for a moment. How much of your daily suffering comes from resisting the natural change of things, from clinging to what is no longer? How would your way of loving and living change if you accepted the impermanence of all that is dear? Accepting separation teaches us to love without suffocating and to live without fear. We have now seen 4 realities that depend on natural laws. But the 5th reality puts us at the center as protagonists of our own experience. What is it, and how does it empower us? 5th reality, karma, owner of your actions. Finally, we come to the 5th reality. The previous 4 showed us natural laws to which we are subject: aging, sickness, death, change. But this last one gives us back the power, puts us in the driver's seat of our own lives. I am the owner of my actions, heir to my actions, born of my actions, related to my actions, and have my actions as my judge. Whatever I do, for good or for ill, to that I will fall heir. This reflection is the antidote to the intoxication of irresponsibility. It is the human tendency to act harmfully with body, speech, or mind, thinking there will be no consequences, blaming circumstances or others for our suffering, or feeling like helpless victims of fate. Let's remember the key teaching about karma. Intention is karma. Every choice we make, every intention we cultivate, is a seed we plant. This 5th reality reminds us that we, and only we, are the sowers and the reapers. What is the immense benefit of accepting this radical responsibility? Accepting that we are the owners and heirs of our karma empowers us in a way no other philosophy does. It takes us out of the passive victim role and makes us the active architects of our future experience. If we don't like the harvest we are reaping today, we have the instant power to start sowing different seeds now. It frees us from the useless burden of blaming the outside world and gives us the master key to create a future with less suffering and more peace through our conscious actions in the present. Let's reflect for a moment. How would your way of speaking, acting, even thinking change if you frequently remembered that every one of your intentions is a cause that will inevitably have an effect on your own life? These 5 realities seen together are not just isolated facts about life. They are part of a path. What is the greater purpose of reflecting on them according to the teachings? These 5 reflections are not separate ideas or simply depressing facts about life. In the Buddhist teachings, they form a whole, a unified practice with a very clear purpose: to free the mind from suffering. The teachings here remind us of something crucial. We are not alone in this. They invite us to consider, I am not the only one subject to aging, to sickness, to death, to separation. I am not the only one who is the owner of my actions. And it extends this reflection to all beings, past, present, and future. This universal perspective cultivates compassion and pulls us out of the why me trap. But the most important thing is what happens when we reflect this way often. The teachings say that by doing so, the factors of the path arise. Meaning, this honest contemplation of reality, as difficult as it may seem, is precisely what activates the Buddhist path to liberation in our own mind. By adhering to this path that arises from reflection, by developing and cultivating it day by day, the result is direct. Obstacles are abandoned and obsessions are destroyed. We overcome that intoxication, that denial that kept us trapped. We begin to see renunciation, not of things themselves, but of our illusions about them, not as a loss, but as a rest. The energy we used to spend fighting reality is freed up, and peace begins to be seen clearly. So, far from being pessimistic, these 5 realities are the medicine prescribed by Buddhism to awaken and find lasting peace. But how do we summarize all this? What is the final moral? We have explored together the 5 Buddhist realities: aging, sickness, death, separation from what is dear, and our karmic responsibility. We have seen that they are not dark truths to be feared, but honest mirrors of life to be embraced with wisdom. The intoxication of denying these realities keeps us trapped in anxiety and struggle. But the conscious acceptance of them, although it may initially seem difficult, is the antidote. This acceptance is not pessimism, it is liberating realism. By stopping the fight against the inevitable, energy is freed up. We find that embracing impermanence and our responsibility allows us to live lighter, more present, and with a much clearer purpose. Paradoxically, facing reality head-on is the most direct path to lasting peace. And now, let's see how to put into practice everything we've learned today. Don't try to reflect on all 5 realities at once. It would be overwhelming. Choose one, perhaps the one you find hardest to accept at this moment in your life, or the one you feel causes you the most anxiety. Dedicate just 1 minute each morning for the next week to contemplating it gently. You can do it right when you wake up or while you drink your coffee. Simply ask yourself, how would my day, my decisions, my relationships change if I remembered this truth a little more often? Don't look for intellectual answers. Just feel how that question resonates within you. Notice what changes, what becomes lighter. That's all for today's teaching. Thank you from the heart for joining me in this deep reflection on the 5 realities. I hope it serves as a tool to lighten your mental load and live with more peace. Now, I would love for the conversation to continue. Tell me, which of the 5 realities resonates most with you at this moment in your life? Or which one do you find hardest to accept? Share it in the comments, as reading your thoughts enriches us all. If you think this video can help someone you know let go of a little anxiety, I invite you to share it. And if you want to continue exploring these liberating teachings, please like and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for your time and your courage to face reality head on. See you in the next episode.